and we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sach Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is, of course, wow, it's the 13th already of September 2017. Let me put those on so I can see what I'm doing. Very nice shirt, Clint. Everyone's very appreciative, as am I.
I'm very appreciative.
We know that is your Achilles heel, technology, all the way around. So, yeah, I think it's very fitting to say that.
It fits very nicely, actually.
Oh, God.
It's a very nice fitting.
I'm so glad we have these talks. Hey, I want to...
That's a nice picture.
Thank you. It didn't
That's
come out...
a great picture.
As much as I'd like, but, yeah. I wanted to say happy birthday to my little man. Turned 7 today, James. That was he and I last night. We 2 nights ago, Monday night, went out for dinner. And
Is that the Sacramento River?
Whoa, BZ, why don't I hear you?
Why don't you hear me?
Why don't I hear you, BZ?
Is that the Sacramento River?
That is the Sacramento River, as BZ asked so nicely.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7 years old, absolutely amazing. And
You remember when you were 7, don't
The
you?
river looks a lot older than 7.
the river looks a couple of years older than 7. Do I remember when I was 7 years old? I don't remember what I had for lunch.
I can
BZ.
remember my mother saying to me at the age of 6, "You're 6, you're a big boy now, you're going to have to eat your
Poop your pants.
Eat your vegetables."
Oh. Wipe your own butt.
I was doing that at age 1 because I was born in a log cabin that I helped my father build.
When you were 2.
That's how industrious I was way back then.
And you had to walk uphill both ways
Yes!
carrying the logs.
You read the book.
Yes.
Read the book. I was part of it.
He wrote the
I was
book.
part of the
Yes,
book.
it was written in stone because they didn't have pages back then, BZ.
And we had little cars where our feet went.
Yes. Yes.
And a dog named Dino, but it wasn't really a dog.
It was not. Love Dino.
You ate
Yep,
Brontosaurus
yep, 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 yep,
burgers.
yep, 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 yep. Oh, gosh. So much to talk about this week. But first and foremost,
Yes.
Big Nose, we missed you last week.
Missed you guys too. Yeah, it's been
We
a
just
little,
want to know
it's-
if everything came out all right.
it's been a little crazy.
Yeah. No, I know. We've actually been reading
There's
the
still a
press
little bit in
releases.
there.
Whoa, why didn't anyone tell me my glasses were still...
Fogged up?
Yeah.
I just thought it's because you were looking at BZ
They're
so
kind of
hot.
sideways.
Well,
a little bit.
it was a little jacked. I got it
Well,
fixed.
hang on. We have to speak Boston because they were a little sidewards.
Little sideways?
Yeah.
Little sideways.
A little
Boston.
sidewards.
Baston.
Yeah.
Sackhead Sean taught me how to say Bahaba.
Bahaba. Oh, yeah, we had the full discussion last week.
Was that Pearl Harbor?
Well, Bahaba.
Bahaba.
That's Pearl Harbor.
That's spelled BAHHABBAH. Right? Bahaba. Bahaba.
Is that
Bahaba.
a bar hopper?
No, Bahaba. Totally different.
Either Pearl
It's a
Harbor
place
or
in Maine. Bahaba.
Yeah.
is that like
As
the Black Sheep
opposed
Squadron?
to prostitutes that you throw rocks at.
Right. That's
There
Rockaba.
is-
Right.
That's what? Wait, what?
Rockaba.
It's not Rockaba.
Yeah.
It's not Rockaba.
You
I
throw-
I invented the game. It's not Rockaba.
What do you do, though? You throw a Rockaba.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it. You're right. I got nothing.
Oh, man. We're glad to have you back.
I am glad to be back
You know, it's...
Nice shirt.
for this week. Thank you. I'll be back this
You
week.
didn't get the memo, BZ? Blue plaid.
Yeah.
Blue plaid.
I clearly
You know,
did
the
not.
email went out.
It was internal.
damn
The email went
I
out.
thought we had an internal memo sent, BZ.
It's so sad.
No, look, I got it.
Yeah. Look, I got the don't shave memo.
Yeah.
Well,
I got-
wait a
no, I
minute.
got it.
No, I got that one
Clint-
too. Except Clint didn't get
No,
that
Clint,
one.
Clint actually got it. He hasn't shaved in
look.
3 years. Oh, Oh, boy. There goes all of our listeners.
Right there.
Thank
There
God
goes
you didn't
all of it.
expose the toe hair. Well,
It's not called toe hair, but whatever.
If he hasn't already, it's time for James to go to bed.
Hey, I was good. I stopped my.
I said 5 minutes. We got to 6, and I was appreciative.
You are
Very
welcome.
appreciative from all he is, actually.
Yes, you're welcome.
Oh, boy.
I'm sitting over here being good.
Well,
Being so good. So good.
you were just...
look at all the people in chat. We
Who do
got
we got
Jersey
in
Joe. We have SHR Media 1 Golf Dogs.
Wait, SHR Media 1?
Yeah.
Who's that?
We have
That's
Melanie
me.
Colette.
It's me.
She's here. We got Dave Milner. We have two, count
what you did there.
them, two viewers and guest 17.
Oof.
Ooh,
Way better than 16.
Yep.
way better than
Still way
16.
better than 16.
Yep.
Guess
Yeah.
17, that's a big deal. You
That's
don't-
a huge deal.
You just
know.
don't get to the 17th guest like out of nowhere, right?
No,
I mean, at the end of the day.
you
There was
really
a
don't.
massive generational change between 16 and 17.
I agree. I agree.
Did you guys see the report that the Democrats are actually shifting? The Democratic base is actually shifting more right.
What?
I'm not going to go
What
for
planet?
that.
What
No.
Yeah, that's
listen
like-
to what I said. I said.
Okay.
I said the
Sean,
base.
Take finger, insert into mouth.
Yeah.
And hold like that.
I don't want to buy this whatsoever.
No, I said the base because the
Oh, he means Al Qaeda, the base.
Oh.
right. What about the Matrix? The red pill and the blue pill.
The bread pill.
Did anybody ever get that reference to republicanism and
I did.
Democrats? The red pill and the blue pill.
I suppose it depends on which one you took.
But let's
You
go back.
take the blue pill.
I want to go back to what you were saying.
Yes.
You take the blue pill.
What?
Nothing. I just think it's funny you make fun of the old timer that way. I think it's adorable, really.
Thank you.
It's,
Hey, it's just the old timer, you young whippersnappers.
and that's pretty much what it is. That's all I hear sometimes when you talk. I don't know if that's right or not, but sometimes that's all I can listen to.
Look at little Luke over there. Okay, what actor was that? Oh, come on.
Oh,
Walter Brennan. The real McCoys.
yes, thank you. Oh, why would you do that to me this early? Do you see a cup of coffee in front of me, BZ?
Well, this early, it's 8:02 on the left coast.
Yes, which is early.
It's 11.
Hey, Sean, I'm backing you up
right
on
coast.
this.
Thank you.
I'm backing you up on this. BZ, this is way too early, and neither one of us have coffee in front of us.
Well, I have a.
Nor have I had any coffee since 10:30 this frickin' morning.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, my coffee anger came out a little
Wow.
bit. I
It did.
apologize to all of you.
wow! How did that happen?
No coffee. It's been like that.
Well, yeah. See, it was that bad.
It was that bad.
It was that bad. I played it again for you.
Thank you.
It's not often I get.
We didn't get the first.
Well, I just wanted to make sure he knew exactly what he was saying
No, I knew what I was saying.
because he hasn't had coffee since 10 a.m. this morning.
You're going to have to show me how to do that. You're going to have to show me how to go live on Facebook.
How to go sideways?
Oh yeah, I don't know why I haven't yet, but I will. It's easy.
And can you go live on Twitter?
Nah, maybe.
I don't know if you can go for
All right,
like
BZ.
2 hours.
I'm not going to lie to you. We at the absolute extreme of my technological ability. Anything past this, I pee myself and pass out.
No. We look to you.
That's the problem.
Oh, does that mean when the board gets here, we're going to have to actually break open the instructions?
No, I refuse.
No, absolutely
I'm a
not.
better
Why the
person
hell
than
would
that.
we do that?
I'm a way better person.
BZ,
than that.
we're men. We don't read instructions or ask for directions.
Damn instructions.
No. Do you look for instructions when you open a package of toilet paper? No, you just know what to do.
Well, the funny thing is, somewhere on the planet, there's instructions inside somewhere.
I wouldn't know. I've never looked.
Along with some sort of warning.
Yep.
Right.
I've never looked at toilet paper, but there has to be a warning on it,
Be
right?
careful. With extreme pressure, you may have a poke through. I mean, something, right?
Caution.
Note: please please pick up turds only by clean end.
Yeah.
Well, that killed the conversation.
Yeah, DZ, man.
Yeah, who the hell would use the cleaner?
Oh, boy. What do we get going on this week?
What don't we have going on this week?
A lot of things.
You know, last night we weren't friends.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's go down this road.
Yeah.
Today you're okay. Last night you weren't.
Right.
And I know that.
What?
So, yeah. What most people don't realize is, anyone
most people who've been listening at all
will know this,
will
actually.
know this,
yeah. So, Clint is an Oakland A's fan, and I am a Boston Red Sox fan. Mm-hmm. And
I like the Brewers.
Do you really? Milwaukee?
Milwaukee.
The good land.
Yeah. I like the Houston Oilers.
The Brew Crew.
That's no football. I'm boycotting the NFL this year.
Of course you are.
No kidding. If I could fist bump you from here.
If I could fist me. There we go.
would.
Thank you. But go ahead, Sean. I apologize.
So, Clint's a humongous A's fan, and I'm a big Red Sox fan. Last night, through no fault of his own.
Right. Yeah, it was no fault of mine at all. And look, I have to give Boston major props.
Yeah.
Like I don't know
11-1 victory.
I don't know how they scored while they were in the field.
Twice.
But somehow I think it might have happened.
It actually happened twice.
Yeah, first time in baseball history, I think.
11-1, and then tonight it was what, 7-3?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys won 7-3. We're in the hunt, though.
You know, we were okay, Sean, until you said that. We were okay right now until you went and rubbed that in. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie.
That hurts. Like we that hurts a lot bit.
A lot bit.
Let's change the subject. Hawaii's 2-1.
There you go. College.
Yeah, college football. Hawaii's 2-1. Yeah, they lost to UCLA. They got smoked by UCLA.
Hey, Japan's still 0-2, so that's good.
That's good. Yeah. And if North Korea gets uppity, they might be 0-3. They don't come in and save them.
Here's a partial score.
Yes.
Los Angeles 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was that from? What was that from?
George Carlin.
Yes.
George Carlin.
Yes. I knew that. I knew I'd heard that before. Oh man. What was I going to say? Where do we want to start tonight?
Look, I want to start with the clip we have of and I don't want to set it up too much, but until afterwards. But if you could start the clip from right around the 3:30, 3:45 mark,
I can and I will,
and we'll let it play. So I just want to say this is court proceedings.
Yep.
Regarding the potential release of a suspect, and it's court proceedings, and obviously the judge is there, the in custody is there, the federal prosecutor is there, and defense, and just listen and digest
what's going on, and then we'll discuss why this is
relevant
right now
here. Yeah, shortly.
6 months, over 6 months before it was brought here, believes that the judge will, if this court orders him released to Newbridge, that the judge will
pause it.
Lift that hold. So
Newbridge is a rehabilitation facility for narcotics offenders.
Yes.
So just so you know what Newbridge is, that's what Newbridge is. Oh, and by the way, this judge is a federal judge in San Francisco. Just let that sink in.
Yeah.
So what I would ask is if the court does release him, I can get a copy of the minute order, and then I will, we set up a release date a few days or a week or something like that, and I will, because the house is going to need to be posted anyways, and then she can get a court date in Sonoma County and get that whole lifted in.
I was going to ask Mr. Pershing for your comments.
Yes, so, and we've not had a full detention hearing in this case. It was initially in front of Judge James, and I think it was referred to Your Honor on July, for a first appearance on July 25th, at which point Ms. Amram mentioned Newbridge assessment. The government strongly objects to release in this case. Pre-trial, as I understand, also continues to object even in light of the Newbridge assessment. And if I could just go through the government's reasoning, and I would note again, this is a presumption case on 3142B. As Your Honor recognized on July 25th, this is not just a run-of-the-mill drug or narcotics case. There's aggravated identity theft charge as well as access device fraud, and that arises out of a vast amount of stolen counterfeited driver's license and ID cards and credit cards that were found on in defendant's car and in Bosser. It's reflective of intentional, premeditated, and extremely dangerous conduct in addition to the drugs, as well as firearms. The defendant had 2 firearms on him. And the government is particularly concerned, one on his person, one in the car, along with all this other items.
Did we make it clear?
The government
Did we make it clear that this is the prosecutor who's the male voice and the judge with
is
the
the female voice? If we haven't, it is now stipulated.
So stipulated. Nice work.
Thank you.
Should be obvious.
I'm concerned because this is reflective of a long pattern with this particular defendant. He's been in and out of jail and prison for the last 12 years, and there are some consistent threads in the charges that he's been convicted of. Defendant consistently possesses and uses firearms. In a 2006 conviction for assault with a semi-automatic firearm, the defendant fired at victims in a car a number of times, and then later on pointed a gun at one of the victims in a motel room. He was convicted in 2006 for assault with a deadly weapon, spent 6 years in prison, and then in 2013 possessed a firearm again and was convicted for possession of a firearm as well as evading the police. In both instances, in 2006 conviction, when he was finally caught by the police, they cornered him and he rammed into their cars trying to speed away. In the 2013 conviction for arrest for possessing a firearm and evading the police, led them on a high-speed chase. He was again got 3 years in prison there, and when he was released on parole for that offense, he had a parole violation in April 2015. But then in December 2015, that's the conduct here. The police again found him with firearms, narcotics, and he again fled from the police. But now it's escalating conduct with him being involved in a pretty massive ID theft and access device fraud scheme from all accounts from the evidence. Hundreds of pieces of stolen or fabricated means of identification and access devices were found on him. With respect to, and so these consistent threats, I should mention also in each of those prior cases, he either stole a car or was possessing a stolen vehicle. Here, he had used the IDs that he had either counterfeited or stolen to rent this car that he was found in. It's recidivist conduct and it's continuing. There's also a number of supervised release violations. That's a consistent thread. He has parole violations and convictions in 2013 and 2015. His probation for his 2003 and 2004 convictions, one involving the firearm, his probation was revoked in 2006 when he was arrested and convicted for firing a gun at victims in a car. His continual, it's not only that he has these violations in the supervised release, it's when he is approached by officers, his instinct is to flee, is to drive, to speed away, to ram their police cars to get away from them. In this case, when the police sought to arrest him, he ran from the police and they had to chase him down with a canine unit. In the pretrial services report, it notes that the agent, case agent in this case, listened to the defendant's jail calls, and that will be produced to the defendant shortly. Among other things, the defendant was heard saying that he considered shooting the police officer, but then decided just to run.
Okay.
That is huge, and I want to stop it right here because I want to let you know who this guy is.
Yeah, I was going to say let's talk about who this bastard is,
and then we'll play the tape some more, and we'll hear what happens. You are listening to the prosecutor, and by the way, this individual at the time of this hearing was facing a 12-year minimum federal prison sentence, and he would have been in federal prison had this particular judge not released him to a rehab program.
Right.
This is the individual who, a couple weeks ago, shot 3 police officers in Sacramento, 2 of which were California Highway Patrol officers who were injured and survived. and one was a Sacramento County deputy sheriff, Deputy French, who was killed. So here you go. You had behavior which was exactly as is described by this prosecutor, who is arguing to keep him in custody based upon his violent history and his history of weapons violations as well as narcotics, trying to keep him in because he said that he considered shooting the police officer, but then just decided to run.
Right.
That's who this guy is. And so I don't want to get too far into it because I really want, now that you know who this guy is, I really want you, that really kind of focuses more now on why this is such an important issue. And this is, again, a federal judge out of San Francisco.
And her name is Lee, I believe?
I don't know if it's Lee, I believe.
Well, it's Lee.
Yes. Yes.
Why do you do this to me?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to help.
Because I needed some levity because I was getting so angry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad.
I was starting to get angry, and I really need to maintain on this. So go ahead, Sean, unless either one of you have anything more.
No, BZ, you have something.
Right at this point.
Last Thursday, when my show was on, at the exact same time that Bob French's funeral was being conducted, 2 Sach PD officers were shot.
Yeah.
In the exact same hour.
Yeah. No, yeah. And it was the same. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was the same type of situation. It's a person who never should have been allowed to walk around in public.
Yes, the person that shot them was a double murder suspect of a mother and a daughter in the city of Sacramento.
Yep, absolutely tragic. Here, let's continue with this with the Little Cloud tapes. Because, and by the way, we had to kind of look for these. We knew they were out there. They were everywhere for a little while. Now they're disappearing.
Yes.
Because you have a Ninth Circuit Court judge.
I don't think it's Ninth Circuit. It's a magistrate judge.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Madge judge.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It's a federal magistrate judge out of San Francisco.
Who is being warned repeatedly about a man whose criminal arrest record she has and is aware of the danger that he presents to society in general.
They have jail call tapes where he
Yes.
talks about shooting a police officer.
Yes. It's just, God, this is just horrific, but let's just keep going with it.
So it's a consistent pattern that Newbridge does not assess the criminal history. So the government understands that they don't assess criminal history. They don't assess this risk of danger or look at his criminal history. And these are significant things that the government is concerned about and respect to request of the court detaining him pending trial in this case, which has a mandatory minimum of 12 years right now on these charges from the drugs and the ID theft.
Okay.
Mandatory minimum.
Ms. Emily, thank you.
So, Your Honor,
Defense.
the allegations are very serious. I'm not trying to minimize that or argue with that in any way. And I think this would be an easier call for detention had he ever once in his life received any kind of drug treatment or doesn't appear any mental health treatment. He hasn't ever at all, and he has a really, really serious meth problem.
What was the Delancey Street issue?
He's trying to get into that from Sonoma County, so he was working to have release from Sonoma County on this case, Delancey Street, but he'd never been there before. And so we're talking about someone who has he was in foster care from the time he was very little, found on the streets of Arizona, wandering around with the ladies and with the scabies and lice investigating.
What does that have to do with it? I want to stop it for a second, too.
Go ahead.
And this is why I have a serious issue with some defense attorneys.
Why is anyone even listening to that fuck say things like that?
How is that pertinent to what's going on?
It has
It's not.
nothing to do with it, unless you're a leftist.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, too, right? You're building up this case to turn this guy into a victim, and you're ignoring everybody he's victimized.
I know
Yes.
this. He just needs understanding.
Oh, he had hair lice. He grew up in the foster system.
Listen, if you have
He just
hairlines
needed
and a
another
bad
hug.
day, you can just kill someone. No big deal.
The reality of the situation is these are all just stupid-ass excuses. You're trying to bail a guy, and when you're the defense...
Not even bail.
Right. Release.
Yeah, they just want him released to a rehab.
To a rehab.
What?
When you are a defense attorney, and I've said this time and again, I understand what your job is to a point, but I also think it's incumbent upon a defense attorney to know when their client is too dangerous to be let out in public and have enough audacity to stand up and say that, hey, you know what, based on his history, he didn't do this crime, and I'm going to defend him to the end, but I understand why you'd want to hold him, and it makes sense, and it's actually going to be better for him because he could probably get better treatment being held.
Right, he's not going to slide.
Right.
He has a history of.
There's no chance of him failing on this.
Look, if you're a defense attorneys have a place, 100%.
Absolutely, bottom of the ocean.
They have a job. Look, defense attorneys.
They do have an existence that's very
defense
important.
attorneys ensure that the government follows proper process.
Right.
And that the rights of their client are protected.
Right.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
I really don't. Because if the government and defense should be on the same page with that.
I agree.
I don't think either one would want to violate the rights of anybody. And if
I may not agree with that.
Well, if the government does violate their rights, then that is a problem. And we talk about that on our show.
Of course.
That is absolutely a problem. So defense has a job to do, a very serious job, a very important job to do. But making somebody like this out to be a victim,
yes,
in my opinion, goes beyond what defense counsel is there to do.
It's a true tragedy and justice.
It is. That is them not doing. That is them doing a disservice to society as a whole, and their client also, because Little Cloud's dead now.
Right.
And guess what? The flip side of this argument is Little Cloud would be alive today had he not be released. Right. So not only would Deputy French be alive today and that family not have to suffer, but Mr. Little Cloud would be alive today also.
The two CHP officers would not have to be recovering from their injuries.
Absolutely.
And Little Cloud would be alive.
That would be the most important aspect to any leftist, is poor Little Cloud wouldn't be, he would still be here.
Hey, you know what?
Other people are immaterial. They're side issues.
Yes.
The big issue is him.
Okay, but look, human life is either precious or it's not. We agree?
And there's no middle ground.
Exactly. So human life is precious. Look, I am a death penalty proponent, and if you do take a life, I do believe in the process, and I do believe that the death penalty is appropriate in certain cases after it goes through the judicial process. That being said, do I think that people have a right to self-defense and use deadly force and apprehension of serious, dangerous criminals? Absolutely, 100%. But if I think anybody on the right and left could agree that if human life is in fact precious, then the deputy and the suspect would be alive today. And whether, regardless of which side you fall, and some people say, "Hey, good, he's dead, he deserved to die," meaning Little Cloud. Well, that's their opinion. But the real truth of the matter is, if defense counsel had been doing their job and appropriately, in my opinion, then he would have been incarcerated for his 12-year sentence. And you can't tell me in prisons and jails there's not drug treatment programs. I know damn well there are.
Prisons
of course there are.
Prisons and jails are essentially the only places anymore that people do get treatment.
Yes.
Right.
Because all the rest of them on the outside are packed. They're packed.
Well, they're packed.
And there are not enough of them.
And there's not enough rules, and there's not enough. The other thing that happens, too, is they're not being held accountable when they violate the terms of their rehab. And
violate? There's no more parole in the state of California.
There's not.
There is essentially no more parole.
Or violent offenders, really.
What? Yeah. When you take rape and take it out of the violent criminal act category by AB 57 or SB 57?
Yes.
It's insane. That's insane.
How is it you can't take into account the violent criminal history of somebody and only have to go on this most recent? That's insane to me also.
But that was the point of 57.
Of course it was. Look, Sean, I'm sorry. We're up against the break. When we come back, are you good if we come back with this? Because I think this is important. This has national repercussions.
Well, there's major implications on the leftist grip of a lot of this.
Yes, particularly since this was a federal judge that released this.
Absolutely.
Huge deal. So when we come back, thanks, Sean.
All that more right here on the Sach Radio Show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sach Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sach and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sachheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sachheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, 100 Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
That almost sounded like an After Dark voice.
It kind of was, right?
It was.
It was almost there.
Show you right.
It was almost there.
Show you
Before we
right.
went to break, we were playing the audio from the courtroom down in San Francisco that released Thomas Littlecloud. He was the police officer who shot Robert. He was the shitbag that shot Deputy Robert French and killed him and 2 CHP officers. Extremely violent criminal history, including guns, stated in a recorded phone call that he wanted to kill a police officer. They're just tumultuous, but we're going to go ahead and continue with the tape right now.
Adopted to a really solid family at 10, but has never received, and developed a pretty serious drug addiction starting at about, I think it was 12, and then getting substantially worse. And meth is clearly a huge problem for him. It was clearly a huge problem in this incident. And whatever happens with this case, we want, I think all want it to be a situation where he does better, and he's going to need drug treatment, and he's going to need mental health treatment. And Newbridge knows what they're doing. Newbridge is not some, questionable program. It's as tough and as rigid and as substantial as it gets. And Newbridge interviewed him, and they said they can handle this, and they want him in their dual diagnosis program, which is a big commitment for them for pretrial. I know it would be a big commitment for him. His mom is willing to post a house between 2 blocks away from Newbridge. They lose their house, so he knows that. And there's a huge difference between someone who makes a terrible decision while high on meth to flee into a storage unit to, when they're about to be arrested, and someone who's sitting there in Newbridge and says, okay, I'm going to walk out and cause my parents to lose their home. That's like a big difference.
Yeah, like he cares.
And so we're asking for one chance. If the court knows Newbridge. If he steps so much as like a part of a toe out of line, they will let the court know, and we will be back here, and he will be in custody. It's not like Newbridge is some sort of even close to easy ride. And so we're asking that he go into the toughest program with his parents' house on the line for one shot at treatment, which he clearly really, really needs.
Can I ask your client some questions?
Yes.
Mr. Littlecloud, why is it now that you think that this will be helpful to you?
Well, everything that my life is come to was like selfish, but now I have my son who's in foster care, and he's 3 years old at the same age I was in foster care. So I could see the same pattern just repeating over and over. And I wanted to just, even if it's just for me, change my life and provide like some type of like positive influence in my son's life, so he doesn't go through like the same questions that I had when I started using meth and I started running away from home. I didn't know that like my life mattered, you know. So when I made decisions for myself, it was only until I was sitting in jail, like hot, like coming down, that I realized all the people that hurt and that they're there for you. But then when you're high, you're just like toned out, you're just numb to everything. And
which time sitting in jail did he think of this? I wonder. Because he said
everyone.
Because when he said he thought, man, the people I hurt. So I was not high. I was coming down from meth. Which effing time? You've been in prison so many freaking times. It's not like you had a fucking epiphany last time you were there. And these people freaking bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
That's part and parcel of this. I have no other word to use for it except sickness. Leftism anymore, it is a sickness. It is unsustainable, and it's a sickness in their philosophy.
I would think that a federal judge has been...
They do not understand human nature.
But you would think, like logically, and I know I'm thinking logically, and so this part will not translate to leftists.
Right.
I would think that logically, a federal judge, who has sat in court and heard bullshit over and over and seeing the same bullshitters over and over again, would fucking get it.
Let me give you some insight, though, because I worked in the federal system.
You would think.
AUSAs are very picky about the cases that they take, because almost every AUSA, that's an assistant U.S. attorney in all the districts, they all want to be a federal what? Magistrate or a judge. Once they're in for life.
Not magistrate judges, I think, are confirmed every 8 years.
Well, yes, judges. I'm sorry, I mean judges, because there is a difference between the two.
Right.
Magistrates are whale crap, and judges are
they shouldn't be making these decisions, apparently.
Federal judges are gods.
They should have fuchsia robes.
But once they're installed, they die in office, essentially, and you can't touch them. She's untouchable. She's inviolate, essentially, because I'm sure she knows that once she's a magistrate, where's she going next?
I think Congress should pass
for a judge.
I think Congress should pass a law, because look, there has to be a check on the judiciary. Every branch is supposed to have a check on every other branch, right? So, okay, Congress, use this case and write a law saying that they cannot be reconfirmed after 8 years. Appoint them to a magistrate position. Put fucking term limits on them. Or put some mechanism in place
where they actually get held accountable for shit that they do.
Yeah. To where they can be removed from office.
Well, and there's no accountability. That's the other thing too. Is we've seen this out with judges who've like done weird sentences for certain people where it shouldn't even have 3 days for a rape and stuff like that. Other than like an electorate recall system in the cases of some elected judges in counties, there's no check and balances unless they break a law and get convicted.
I know of one time when a judge was frickin' actually ousted, and that was Rose Bird. The Rosebud Supreme Court in the state of California.
1978, 1979.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Who overturned every bet. You forgot about that, didn't you?
Forgotten about Rosebud.
How do you forget about Rosebud? Anybody who's not familiar with Rosebud, the California Supreme Court, and that whole effort that actually got her removed from office via a vote, very interesting reading. She overturned the death penalty cases of cop killers, the Newhall incident, which were the guys. One guy was dead. One guy was actually taken into custody, killed 4 California Highway Patrol officers. Just a whole Night Stalker. Who am I thinking of?
Out of Napa Valley area.
Yeah,
walking around the lakes.
Look into Rosebud. But anyways, that's the only time I know of. That's the only time I know of. I'm sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt. I know we got to get through this.
No, it's fine. Listen, this is part of the conversation about this, right? The biggest thing that we're trying to show with this tape is, once again, you have a liberal judge who is going the emotional route with something that should not be emotional.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is you have this paperwork sitting in front of you, black and white, of this shithead offending time and again and violating numerous probation, parole, if I'm not mistaken.
And look, this is important because I don't think a lot of people really follow the process. A lot of people don't sit in court unless they've had jury duty or something like that. A lot of people don't see this process, right? This wasn't a jury trial. There weren't 12 members of a jury sitting in there. Even though these are public proceedings, most people don't go sit and watch a court proceedings.
Right.
So I think this is stuff that a lot of people don't see. And I think this is important. And I thought this was important enough that we wanted to share it with you tonight and discuss it, because this is hard audio to frickin' find right now.
Well, and that's the thing; it's nowhere.
But this is why we wanted to bring it to you. So go ahead. And I really want these people. I really want our listeners to hear the judge's remarks when we get there.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't go around the people that care about me because
this is Little Cloud.
You know, so you just run until I can't remember more, and then.
What about when you were in prison for the last 6-year term? Did you get any kind of drug treatment put in there?
They didn't let me go because I had a gun case in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, really, that's just to give people credits to get out early. So it's just a way for them to empty the jail out. So not everybody's allowed to go there. And it's like, it's a SAP program, substance abuse program, and they don't allow it to any kind of cases.
Do you understand that if you are allowed out on bail before your trial, before this case is pending, your mom is going to commit her house, and she would actually lose her house? Is that clear to you?
That's very clear.
And that if you violate even one more move, you're going to go straight back to jail.
Your Honor, if I may just address a couple of comments about Ms. Amram. In terms of the meth leading to the conduct that the defendant is charged with here today, first, with respect to the aggravated identity theft and access device fraud charges, that is reflective of, based on the evidence, what must have been a continuing and extensive scheme. That would not necessarily be explained away by a meth run or, over just the course of a few days. This was going on, it appears, for months based on evidence of the use of these particular counterfeited and stolen access devices. And that's some discovery that's been produced to Ms. Amram. With respect to the firearms, the defendant has 3 prior firearms convictions. And yet, here again, he was carrying a gun and had another gun in his car in the same bag as where over 75 grams of pure meth was found. This is conduct that is continuing. And
Stop it.
He's not learning from
75 grams of pure meth. Pure meth.
Is that all?
Cut, not packed. Pure meth.
Only 75?
Here's 1 gram. So those of you who may not understand drug weights. 1 gram. Those sugar packets you get in coffee shops, that's 1 gram.
Yes.
So a usable amount of methamphetamine would be approximately 1/10 of that. So in 1 gram of one sugar packet, basically, of methamphetamine, which is about 1 gram, that's about 10 uses, right? Mm-hmm. Roughly. roughly 5 to 10 uses, depending upon how big of a hit
a
they're
meth head
taking.
you are.
So, and look, most meth heads don't buy for a rainy day, right? So just to give you an idea of how much, so 75, if you're using a 1/10, a 0.1 measurement for use, let's give them benefit of the doubt. Let's say 0.2, right? So let's say it's 5 uses out of 10. You do the math with how much that is.
Here's the other math that you need to do. A gram of meth, what's it go for? Regionally, depends on where you are. Anywhere from $50 to $120. 1 gram. Now multiply that.
This is
multiply
uncut.
that times 75.
This is uncut.
Oh, well, that's
this
better.
is 75 grams of uncut.
That's like getting, I just stumbled across a quart of meth oil. Woohoo! How great for me on that.
Sorry, I wanted to give our listeners an idea because they may not understand that world. I'm sure most of them don't. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. No, really. Okay.
Past mistakes. I have no doubt that his particular sentiments are genuine, but he, in our view, and in the view of free trial, poses a substantial danger to the public, and I would also say, on preponderance of the evidence, a risk of flight with respect to his past runnings from the officers and failure to comply with the supervised release.
Okay. I'm going to allow Mr. Little to go to Newbridge with grave misgivings. I have to tell you, Mr. Little you're not going to get any chances there. One violation and another rules, and you're going straight back to jail. Your mom is going to put up her house for you, and so that's a really big deal. She will lose her house if you actually try to run away, and I'm holding you and her to that. So I just want to make sure that you understand that, and that is a really big deal. And this is your one shot. This is your one chance to get treatment for your problems, and I hope that it works for you. But I'm very worried. To be honest with you, I'm very concerned. And so this is your chance to prove us all wrong, that you can do it. Okay. We're going to have to...
Okay, that's enough. You're very concerned, and you fucking did it anyways.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
Is that negligence?
It's got to be on some level, right? Because here you are as a federal court judge saying, or magistrate, saying, hey, here's everything I know you have the potential of doing. You've done it time and again.
Yeah.
There's a million reasons.
I'm very worried.
There's a million reasons why I should not release you right now. And it's almost like Dumb and Dumber, right? Where the judge is like, so you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just going to go ahead. You get one chance. If you violate once, you're done. Done. Until the next hearing. And then we're going to give you another chance. And if you violate that one, oh boy, can we have another hearing. And we'll have a lot more hearings. You're not going to be...
That's right.
You're not going to be held.
We're going to wag our finger at you, and we will use sarcasm at you.
As much as we can.
That's right. Criminal sarcasm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And as a result of this judge's inability to use common sense and follow the law.
Because of this judge's negligence.
Outright negligence. A Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy is dead, and 2 CHP officers have been injured. And Little Cloud is dead. And it could have got a lot worse. For people who aren't familiar with the scene itself, this guy had an automatic long rifle. I believe it was an AK-47. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. That's what I've heard, but I don't know.
Correct.
And, I mean, never mind the responding police officers. You have a fairly highly populated area. There was a lot of rounds that he let go. A lot of other people could have been killed as a result of his actions. All because this judge can't even justify it. That's the thing. It's like, I don't understand.
Kim, it was her name. Judge Kim. Not Lee, yeah.
I don't understand.
She couldn't justify it.
Right. That's why she had that uncomfortable laugh.
Yeah, I have grave misgivings.
Yeah.
I have...
Grave?
Is there any other kind? You see what I did there?
A few good men.
Yeah.
A few good men.
Would I go so far as to say this was political in nature, because that's exactly what Jim Comey did? Did he not lay out the perfect set of circumstances and bullet points for making sure that Hillary Clinton got prosecuted, and then concluded that she shouldn't be? That was political. This is political because there are no consequences, and there haven't been in the past, and there likely won't be in the future.
Right.
Not in this state.
And you know,
and each district is different.
It amazes me, though, when you see these judges always trying to save the wrong person. And I mean this. When you get into white-collar crimes, right, have you ever seen judges tear apart people for white-collar crimes? And I'm not saying that that crime is any less important, but you've seen it, right? Martha Stewart. How long did Martha Stewart do for tax? It wasn't even tax. It was stock market messing.
Why, can you imagine how pissed she is at Hillary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But she did what, a year and a half in a federal pen for acting on a insider stock tip? And then you have an asshole like this who'd already done hookups in prison, history of violence. He's recorded on jailhouse tape saying that he wanted to shoot cops.
So let me ask
numerous gun charges.
Let me ask you this. Could this federal judge, magistrate, and I know ambulance chasers listening all over the world are going to lose their freaking mind right now. Could this federal magistrate, because this happened in California, be charged with manslaughter with gross criminal negligence?
Because their actions, or her actions, directly
were accountable.
Only if popular opinion swells. Consider the circumstances, consider the region.
Right.
Look, yeah.
I submit this is different also.
I get it, but here you have gross criminal negligence typically applies when there is a criminal negligence refers to a mental state of disregarding known or obvious risks to human life and safety. This judge, I would say by her own admission, with all of the evidence she had laid out in front of her, and her own statements of, I have severe misgivings, or whatever the hell she said.
Severe
misgivings. I think she displayed gross criminal negligence.
I agree.
Which led to the death of Deputy French, and thereby she has some culpability for manslaughter.
And yeah.
I know ambulance chasers' mind exploded.
Oh, they're going nuts right now.
They're going nuts. They're absolutely not. You can, and I can hear it. But look, I'm just thinking outside of the box. Everybody knows it's not going to happen.
And why won't that happen? Because federal judges, the nation over, don't want that to happen to them.
Right.
Either.
Right.
Right. And that's the problem. And, you know, we always talk about Congress and term limits and some other things. You know,
how awesome would it be if the Sacramento County DA, which has absolutely zero balls whatsoever, actually grew a pair and filed charges?
Sacked up a little bit.
Right?
Sacked up just a tad.
Sack-headed up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be nice. It'll never happen.
No. God, no.
But it'll be nice. And it's a shame. But we've also seen the degradation of the criminal justice system by and large in this country go crazy.
By the way, I sent a tweet out.
Yeah.
I'm getting more retweets on that than I have anything that I've sent out in the past 2 days.
It's amazing. Well, and there's a reason for it.
Good. Look, and look, there's Carl Stinselli is a retired sergeant from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. He actually wrote an open letter. Look, I don't see retired guys, retired cops. You just don't see that many posts from them a lot of times. For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part.
Present company excluded?
Yeah, BZ's an anomaly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
No, but for the most part, would you agree with that?
I'm like, how many? He's right in the room with us.
How many open letters to judges do you see from retired cops?
None. Okay. All right. I'll give you that one.
You don't see them.
Right.
And this guy, retired Sergeant Carl Stinselli of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, actually wrote an open letter to this judge, basically telling her that she should resign. And this judge in this judge's office has had there's been no response, of course.
Of course.
From them. But if you get a chance to read the letter, it's pretty It's pretty good, and I can read.
Now, where did you find it, though? On which social media?
This one's actually on Fox40.com. Actually has
Fox 40 actually covered it.
Fox 40 actually covered it, and I'm going to quote. This is quote: "Judges are supposed to take into account what the general harm will be to the public when making a decision. Judge Kim chose to release Little Cloud into a drug rehabilitation program, not federal custody. 1 year later, blah blah blah." So here's what he says: "Open memo to U.S. Federal Magistrate Judge Sally Kim. Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Bob French just paid the ultimate price, a terrible consequence. His family and friends also had a consequence. The Sacramento Sheriff's Department itself paid a consequence. The citizens and taxpayers of Sacramento paid a consequence. Your terrible decision set all this in motion. And your consequence, in all caps, question mark, you have no civil or criminal issues to worry about. Your job? Not an issue, because your current term expires in 2023 regardless of mistakes in judgment. If any of the injured or dead officers had made a similarly serious mistake in judgment, they would find themselves in search of a new line of work or in jail. Oh, you feel bad, don't you? But what consequence do you have? Even if you ruled against every criminal between now and 2023, you won't. You would never make up for the misguided decision you've made. Do the right thing. Step down. Resign. Go back to civil law. Private practice. For what the hell, make pottery. It won't bring Bob back, but it will keep you from, again, destroying lives. Think about it. 3 officers shot, and 1 paid the ultimate consequence because you thought this longtime weapons meth addict should go to rehab, not prison. I'm mad, and I'm not taking it anymore. I will bring your name up in every conversation I have. You were part of the problem. Until last week, Bob was part of the solution."
Hear, hear.
It was very powerful.
And brilliantly written. And 100% to the point.
Yep.
And it's the reality. I mean, that's the sad part. I just I don't think people understand or pay attention enough to the criminal justice system to see the decisions that get made every day and how many shitty ones get made.
I'm going to forward this to you, BZ, so you can tweet this out.
Okay,
because you know how much of a Twitter monster I am.
We know how ridiculously ignorant and naive the electorate really is in many instances.
Yes.
I would wager 8 out of 10 people across the nation could not tell you the difference between a police officer and a deputy sheriff.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And if they don't even know that, what makes anyone think that they're sufficiently cognizant of their surroundings in terms of
But you know
that?
what? Most of the public, I think most of the public don't. They see a uniform and they see it's a cop. And the ones that appreciate the service, like I appreciate their service, they say they see a cop and they thank the cop. They don't care if it's park ranger, if it's city,
That's
county,
also regional.
state, right? But I think the bigger issue here is I don't think people really understand what's happening in the criminal justice program or what these judges are doing, and that's the bigger issue. And that's why I think it was so important for our listeners to hear the crap that goes on in our criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, you wonder why cops don't want to do this job anymore?
Yeah. You wonder why?
There is no support.
Whatsoever.
Zero.
Whatsoever. Because, and I've talked to a couple buddies about this, they say it all the time.
Here's
You bust your ass to build a case and do all this work on a specific individual and you put him behind bars, and then you have some judge who either dismisses half the hard work you do or just does some boneheaded, negligent act like this. Where it's like, what's the point? Why should I go out there and risk my life when there's no support on the back end of this?
Let me ask the two of you this question, because
We have 30 seconds.
You both have kids.
Yes.
Knowing what you know about
Absolutely
everything,
not. Absolutely not.
would you advocate
Absolutely not.
your children go into law enforcement?
Absolutely not. For the first time in my life, no.
No.
And not because I don't think it's an honorable profession, and not because we don't need good, ethical, moral individuals who do the job for the right reason, because we absolutely need those people. But I certainly don't want it to be one of my kids. And I'll tell you why. There is very little regard for law enforcement life, as evidenced by this judge's decision. There is a lot of hostility towards law enforcement, and law enforcement can't do anything right, even when they do something right. And I think that that's not a life that I want my kids exposed to. If that's something that's going to make them happy, I love them and support them. But it's not something where I would encourage them necessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. What a hell of a statement that is.
It is.
It
definitely.
It's sad. It makes me sad.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. We're up against a break. When we come back, we do have other news we have to cover. Of course, North Korea and some other things, but we will continue on right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR.
Thanks for giving me a full hour.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, 100 Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to articles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Back, the Sackheads Radio Show, on, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. And we are with Sackhead Sean and Sackheads Clint. Sackhead Sean is doing something important right now. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Ahem.
Yeah, a show.
Right, euphemisms.
Right?
I love euphemisms.
Yeah.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Folks, you made an interesting point, Clint, and I should like to mention it right now. You said that the first hour that we did is probably one of the best hours that you guys have ever done in Sackheads. Maybe you can explain why you think that.
And it may not, I'm not talking necessarily for radio quality or something like that, but I'm talking in terms of We don't often have segments where we talk about something that there is not a lot of discussion of on a national level, and yet it has, in my opinion, national implications. And the implications for that segment, and I'm not trying to overstate this by any stretch of the imagination, but that trend and the implications for the trend and the issues we discussed affects us literally as a nation. And I'm not talking about just based on our belief system and all this other, but literally who we are as Americans and what we stand for and what we are going to tolerate. Because if we get to the point where, in some people's perspective, we are, where the rule of law doesn't matter, where there's no consequences to the actions, people die. This isn't a game. And the criminal justice system isn't some machine set in motion to oppress a certain class of people. The criminal justice system is there to keep order, to keep society in order, so that we have a society that we're able to function. We're able to thrive as We're able to thrive as a nation. If the very fabric of that starts to fall apart, and you get this in discussions with family unit and everything else, then as a nation we're doomed. If we have people on the street that are allowed, that are clearly violent offenders, demonstrated a history of violence, have said in jail interviews that they should have shot it out with the cops, not interviews but phone calls, and we let them out, that is a major public safety concern. And look, this affects people in terms of where we let our kids play, perhaps where we shop, the faith that we have in law enforcement, the faith that we put into the criminal justice system. And if that starts to slowly erode, you can have a certain segment of society that starts taking matters into their own hands, because clearly the government's not doing the job it's supposed to do, provide for the welfare of the public. And so I think the implications are so large and widespread, and I can't even go through and state them all right now. I know we have other segments to get to, but I think it's just such an important issue on so many different levels, and that the criminal justice system and the judges right now, and how the system operates and how broken it is, and the fact that everything is watered down, there really is no consequence. Jails are freaking, they get TV privileges and great meals and all this other stuff. That I think that it affects us all as, again, like I said, as a society and as a nation. I think more people need to see that. Very few Americans really, I think, understand that. I think there's people, even some on the right, that think, jails are overcrowded and maybe we need to start looking at other things. Well, look, if we say it's a 12-year minimum, like this guy was up against, and they get 12 years, we're not going to have jail overcrowding, because at some point, we might in the short term, but at some point people are going to say, wow, you know what, they really don't screw around. And I bring up, to point to that, I bring up the 3 strikes law in California. When did bad guys really start stressing out about going back to prison and behaving?
Get out of my head, because I was just going to make the point about New York City. New York City was a festering hellhole under Lindsay and the next mayor in the 70s, because they did not have the will to stop crime.
Yes.
When did crime begin to go down?
Giuliani.
Yep. Why? Because he said essentially every crime counts.
Yes.
Every small, you start at the bottom,
Yep.
And it's not incremental, it's the full wide spectrum.
Yep.
Crime went down. Now, why is crime going up now?
And particularly in California.
All over.
Yes. And look, the city of Sacramento voted to pay $1.5 million of their budget to the top 50 most dangerous gang members in order so that they can promise not to commit violent crime.
That brings up another point. That brings up another excellent point. Now, if you're a gang member and you just saw your good friend, Jose, get paid, weren't they saying that roughly about $1,000 a month?
Per month, yes.
Was the motivational check amount that they're considering. Now, if Jose...
No, it passed.
Oh, yes, I know. If Jose's your good friend, and you see him getting cut a check for $1,000 a month, would that not be something of a motivator for you to go out and commit crimes and become...
the top 50.
Yeah, and then you are magically transported up into you become aware, or the city of Sacramento becomes aware of you, and in order to mollify you, they decide, hey, we should put Roberto on the dole as well. And does that not translate to Guido the Hand walks into
yes, it does.
a local market or a bodega and says, hey, for $1,000 a month, I'll make sure your windows don't get broken.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So this is why. So when we talked about, get back to your question, BZ. When we talk about why I thought this was one of the best segments we've done, particularly in a while, and potentially is because I think that we attacked an issue, or we took on an issue that we broke down. We brought it to the attention of our listeners all over the nation, who can share it, get it out. Play this segment, who may not be familiar with court procedure, who can hear it firsthand for themselves. We can explain really what's going on, and putting it in the context of the tragedy that occurred as a direct result of this,
right?
And how it impacts them potentially. And folks, make no mistake about it. This is the trend of the criminal justice program nationwide. California's had it for a little while. It's getting worse, but guess what? Coming your way.
Whatever starts in California migrates completely across the fruited plain. But Clint, bad news or bad news?
Bad. I'll take bad news.
Okay.
For 100.
Bad news for 100. All right. Here's the bad news. I was just watching and listening to the news tonight. Now, you said that the United States is a nation of laws. What happens, as you asked, when people just decide that they're not going to obey, that they're going to pick it? It's like having laws on a menu. Today, I'm going to obey 3 laws from column A and
Right.
2 laws from column B.
Yep.
It's already happening. There's a city.
Immigration? I thought you were going to go immigration with this.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a city called College Park in Maryland.
That sounds nice.
That's decided that they're going to let any and all illegals vote in their elections. Now, they can't do it federally because federal law is completely separate, but they've decided in their infinite wisdom that if illegals, essentially anyone, wants to vote for mayor or for garbage collector or for taxes, fines, levies, property, etc., they don't have any property rights. They may have just an address, but that's all it takes in the city of College Park is an address. Oh, but wait. What about the homeless? Shouldn't they have a vote? Well, the guy that was speaking on Tucker Carlson said, well, he doesn't have an address, so specifically he can't vote. That's insanity writ large. Now, that
How can they prevent that United States citizen from voting?
That is the goal of all the rest of the sanctuary cities and leftist. We're just talking about criminal law today.
Yes.
That was a particular issue in terms of immigration.
Yeah.
Now, apply that to any and all leftist issues, and they're going to do the menu option. Mm-hmm. Today, I like this. Tomorrow, I like this. And we're going to completely disregard these state laws, these local laws, these city laws, these county laws, and yes, that means federal laws as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have?
Anarchy.
Anarchy.
Or a pure democracy in that jurisdiction, which is just as dangerous.
Yes, it's rule by
it's mob rule.
It's I've said many times, and it's becoming more and more true. I've said demography is prophecy. That's becoming true. If you have enough people on your side, whatever side that is, to make this law or decide that you're going to disavow a particular law, well, what the hell? Now you can do it. And many agencies and many jurisdictions are deciding that they're going to step back from that. They're just going to step back from that.
Yeah.
So it's here. It's here to stay. I can only submit... Oh, this isn't good. Hey, folks, for those of you who are listening, I just saw Spreaker cut out twice now. So with luck, you're still in chat. I don't have chat up over here at this particular station. But if you lost Spreaker, this is the second time that I saw it lost. So please continue, because we're still here. We're still broadcasting.
Maybe we're so popular that we just crashed Spreaker right now.
Well, that could
so
be.
what do you think? What do you think of the segment? You asked my opinion of why I thought it was one of the best segments. I thought it was one of the more important segments we've done in a long time. A lot of people talk about Clinton and Comey and North Korea and federal issues, but I don't feel that enough. I don't think wrong use of your word. I don't think that people are talking about this issue, and that's why I think it's perhaps one of the best, because I think it's one of the most important that we've done in a long time. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll go this route. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when I was still in patrol and I had to testify in court, and I heard a defense attorney in the hallways at the courts downtown. And he was absolutely livid that his wife had been robbed. And he wanted to see justice, air quotes, done for this particular suspect having robbed his wife. And he made, okay, Spreaker is doing it again. Spreaker just gave me the revolving red dot. Folks, if you can still hear us, and I hope you can, if you want to continue to listen, you can roll over to Facebook, go to SHR Media on Facebook, and you can also go to the SHR Media site, the subscription page in YouTube, and you can watch us live on YouTube. You can under SHR Media, and you can also watch us live in Facebook under SHR Media. And Spreaker's doing it again. Okay. Unfortunately, I think we've got an issue with Spreaker. But that said, I'm just going to continue right on. This particular defense attorney said he was absolutely multiply pissed, and he made a statement that I will never forget. And he said, with regard to the suspect, quote, "Fuck this guy. It's personal this time." And most people don't care until it gets to be personal. Until stuff like this happens to you and you become subject, and Spreaker just did it again. Until these things happen to you and you're personally impacted, people don't get it. But you asked me a question. Why did I think the past hour was so important?
Yeah.
It's because you just provided people with insight into the way shit actually works in the criminal justice system. And I use that term loosely because there is justice, but it's only for the criminal. But you provided people with a glimpse at what happens in a courtroom when you have a suspect with a known background and a judge who's making literally life and death decisions, and for whatever reason doesn't seem to appear to be cognizant of that fact. And now you can hear the information provided to this judge by the prosecutor, the information that's provided by the suspect, evidence that's given in his past that he'd just as soon shoot someone, and somehow 1 + 1 to this judge equals 0.325. It's not logical. It's not linear. But you needed to hear that to see how judges somehow magically come to that conclusion. I throw it out. I say it's political. It's absolutely political. And these people are genetic mutants.
I believe she's a true believer. I think she really believes in that ideology.
But what do we know about judges? What do we know about judges? Judges,
they're fallible.
Yes, they're fallible.
They're fallible.
Yes, but what are they also? They're treated, especially federal judges and magistrates, they're treated like royalty. Guaranteed. They lived behind gates in a gated community, in a home with 5, 6, 7 bedrooms, multiple thousands of dollars, couple of thousand, 2,000, 3,000 square feet. They're treated with deference from the time they arrive until the time they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how politicians are treated as well. It's personal. Well, until it isn't.
Yep.
And when you have people that are held on pedestals, they're not going to get it. I don't know of too many judges that live in areas where you can hear gunfire at night, nothing but vehicles running code 3 all night, and you can hear helicopters hovering all night. I don't know too many judges, attorneys, etc. That live in those conditions. I really don't.
I don't either. But look, with that, we have a couple other topics to get to.
Boy, do we.
Jeez. The White House came out today, and they laid out a pretty good case for ringing Comey up on some charges. Not that it's their decision. Did you see this?
Yeah. That's been building for so incredibly
It's been building, but the
long.
White House came out today with a pretty good statement regarding that. And then they said, but it's not our decision to determine if there was a violation of law. That's the Justice Department's decision. But it's pretty clear where the White House stands on this. They laid out the violation. They laid out his actions. And then they said, but it's up to the Justice Department to say whether there was a criminal violation or not.
That's an interesting point. Folks, if you haven't gone to aclj.org, you need to. The Seculos, Jay and his son, I can't think of it, Jason, I think is his son. They frequently file FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, suits against the federal government in order to reveal information. And what they believe, if you haven't heard, and I'm sure you have, is that there were 2 senators whose names escape me right now. I think one of them, oddly enough, was Lindsey Graham, who had information that Comey had already concluded prior to the cessation of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails that he was going to find her essentially not worth prosecuting at all. There's evidence to indicate that, which goes back to the meeting on the tarmac between Loretta Lynch and William Jefferson Clinton.
And not only that, but also his memos that he leaked to...
Yes, over to the New York Times,
yes.
Correct.
Yep.
By way of a third party.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of an FBI director leaking information? If there were ever an FBI director who has decided to entirely politicize his role,
Hoover.
It's been
J. Edgar Hoover.
Hoover did it, yes, but he did not do it with the functional capabilities that James Comey and the power that James Comey has today because of technology and the wide-ranging tentacles that the FBI has and the information that they can get into.
Yes, but he had a pretty damn good dossier on
he had a dossier
everybody.
On damn near everybody. Because what do you know? What do you know? Information is power.
Yes, it is.
Any kind of information. And haven't you come across in your personal and private encounters people that are information hoarders at work, in your private life, and their job is to do nothing but have information on everyone and know all the skeletons in the closet because exactly that, information is power.
Mm-hmm.
James Comey, as far as I'm concerned, he's a useless piece of shit. He has so far so incredibly denigrated the FBI to the point that I wonder if it can be resurrected, if confidence in the FBI can be brought back in, 5 years.
I hope not. I think that whole organization should go away.
I don't. I used to work for them. The line-level agents are good people.
I'm not saying the line-level agents aren't good people. I'm talking about, I don't believe it's a constitutional agency. I think the FBI needs to go away. I think there's nothing that allows the FBI to exist, and I think the FBI should go away.
Now, that's an interesting argument that I haven't heard made before. And that's interesting. I'm going to talk to the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, who is a constitutional scholar, tomorrow night on my show. And that's interesting. I'm going to ask him...
Show me where in the United States Constitution the government has the authority to reach into the places that the FBI reaches. They don't need intelligence. There's other agencies that handle that. Counterterrorism, there are other agencies that handle that. Criminal prosecution of banking, which are Federal Reserve. Yeah, we have...
anything FDIC insured is subject to the FBI.
We have Treasury, a constitutional agency. The United States Marshals, constitutional agency.
By the way, the U.S. Marshals, as I'm sure you already know, are the original law enforcement agency in the entire United States.
Yes, they are. Formed under George Washington.
Yep.
So, what authority does the FBI have? Where does the
constitutionally? That's a damn good question. But you were talking about Comey. Now, I think you were going somewhere with that. You were trying to make a point on Comey.
No, my point is, it's interesting now that the White House, because we haven't heard from Mueller in a while, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, there's some other things that are going on with Mueller as well.
Right? We haven't heard from Mueller in a while. And we know Mueller's not independent.
Oh, God, no.
But
not in the slightest.
And how the hell did the Republicans... Never mind. But we haven't heard from him a while, and now the White House is kind of on offense saying, hey, wait a second here. What about Comey? And my next question is this. Is Hillary Clinton getting looked at again? Because was there not a call to look into that again?
The answer on that is yes, and Jay Sekulow and the ACLJ is pursuing that. To go back and to back up a little bit, what the ACLJ is trying to do is make causal linkage in between what was occurring with Comey and also the meeting from between Loretta Lynch and William Jefferson Clinton, which any right-thinking, meaning proper-thinking individual, the meeting was Loretta Lynch speaking to Bill Clinton saying, you know what, I just want to let you know, we've got Comey on board. He's on board, and he's already crafted the note and the memo to indicate that he's going to find her not worthy of a recommendation for prosecution over to me. And by the way, Bill, I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to tell everyone later that I'm happy to let him make that decision. I'm happy with him usurping the power of the Department of Justice. And doing the job of the DOJ, because as Loretta Lynch, I don't particularly want to get involved in that political shite. Not at all. So, you want to talk about collusion? See, when
Did you say collusion? Or
I believe we're going to have to go to the break here in just a second, but I'm going to make a statement. When the Democrats decided that they wanted to hang every damn hat upon collusion between Russia, and they opened that door, little did they know that when they opened that door, it would lead to all these other places, and Comey, and Hillary, etc. And it's all coming back on them.
When we come back, I want to talk about North Korea and how the mountain where they've been conducting their nuclear tests might actually collapse and release some of that nuclear material.
Oh, and I'd like to throw a theory at you and Sean when we come back about North Korea and other countries as well. Folks?
Is theory shaped like a football? Because I can catch a football.
It is. It is, absolutely. Folks, come right back. We're going to take a break. You're listening to the Sackheads Radio Show on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Catholics, stupid.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Problem on Spreaker there, but I think we have it pretty well figured out.
Well, I told everybody go back, go to Facebook under SHR Media, and you can probably watch us there, and go to YouTube under the SHR Media site, because we've got our very own YouTube channel, and you can listen and watch. It doesn't get any better than that, listening and watching.
Facebook and YouTube.
And shrmedia.com.
And shrmedia.com. We are multi-platformed.
Yes,
multi-platformed.
And aren't we also on High Plains Pundit?
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Of course, we're at High Plains Pundit.
And does he carry the YouTube version?
I don't know if he carries the YouTube.
See, I
wouldn't want to look at my face all the time.
I carry my tube. I don't carry your tube.
No, you've never carried my tube.
This is true.
Well, that's why it's called YouTube, not our tube,
right,
or his tube, or Clint's
right.
tube,
right.
or Sean's tube, or BZ's tube.
And we certainly don't carry our tubes together.
No.
That's not true.
Well,
there was that one time at Freedom Fest. It was a lot of drinking.
Isn't it true that the tubes shall never touch? Isn't that completely? I mean, that's what people.
You never cross the tubes.
Right,
exactly.
That's what it is.
Never cross the tubes.
Never cross the tubes.
No
you
matter
can
what.
touch the tubes.
No matter what.
You can dock the tubes. Anyways.
No go.
So, did you see the report that this Chinese geographical whatever geological survey said that
Chinese mountain people?
Yes.
Okay, good.
They said, "Oh my God, this mountain where Riddle Kim keeps detonating all his shit might actually collapse and release some nuclear material into the air, which could affect China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan." That's a problem. So my question, did North Korea actually start a nuclear fallout?
Oh my God.
Well, and depending upon the direction of the winds, did it drift over into Pyongyang? You know, people are saying that Pyongyang for the past 2 weeks has been a ghost town.
Very strange.
I'm curious.
Very strange.
I'm curious if that particular cloud from that particular burst may have traveled by the winds towards the capital of North Korea.
Yeah, I don't know.
And no one is saying.
Well, that's possible, right? Because China didn't say it did collapse. They said it's in danger of collapsing, and that's problematic.
Now, I said I had a theory, so
yes.
Let me throw this into
Hey guys, I'm Carly.
Let me throw this into the mix and see what you guys think about this. Do you remember that China said if North Korea has another nuclear burst, there's going to be some serious, serious consequences?
Yes.
And what consequences have we seen from China?
They stopped
to
sending
North
Little Kim
Korea?
hookers.
That's about it. So, what do you guys think of that?
Now, hold on, because we have this is right out of Pyongyang.
Okay.
This is actually from, I believe, Kim Jong-un himself regarding this matter.
Hans Briggs for this car.
Hans Briggs? Oh, no!
He's very upset.
Oh, hello. Great to see you again, Hans.
Oh, yeah, no, just like his
Mr.
father.
Earl, I was supposed to be allowed to inspect your palace today, and your guards won't let me into certain areas.
Hans, we've been through this a dozen times. I don't have any weapons of mass destruction, okay, Hans?
Then let me look around so I can ease the UN's collective mind.
Hans, you're breaking my balls here, Hans. You're breaking my balls.
So,
why would he want to do that? No one wants to break Little Kim's balls.
Right, and I don't know how that audio got smuggled out of North Korea.
That's a damn good point.
Right?
Exactly.
Little Kim sounds a lot like Eric Cartman.
Well, it's funny is he doesn't give a lot of press conferences. He doesn't give a lot of press conferences. He doesn't release a lot. They're very reclusive.
I think he releases a lot.
Yeah, add at guns. But to get back to what you were saying.
So let me ask you, what do you think about that? China threatened consequences. Nothing has happened.
There are none.
And what do we know about the Chinese? The Chinese cannot lose face because losing face is extremely important in their culture.
And they also use lead in children's toys.
Now,
right, and
do the logical extension. What does that mean?
That means that if Little Kim detonates, that maybe the Chinese are in Little Kim's pocket, and that their true puppet government is President Jinping,
and not North Korea.
in China.
I believe that's the French president. You got that wrong.
Did I mix that up? And I think perhaps Little Kim installed the government in China and not vice versa. And perhaps China is being propped up by North Korea. And look, I like this theory, boys.
Let me throw some tinfoil your way.
Oh, I love this part.
I love it. Throw.
Let's say one day, Little Kim, because he's on steroids, decides, you know what? We are going to push the button. And we're going to do this. We're going to send, in this order, we're going to send something to South Korea. We're going to send a present to South Korea. Mm-hmm. We're going to send a present to Japan. Mm-hmm. We're going to send a present to Guam. Yep. And we're going to send a present to the west coast of the United States.
And Hawaii.
Oh, and Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii before the United States.
Yes.
In that order.
Yep.
And then once that's known and it occurs, and we're going to see it, we're going to have about, on the West Coast, we'll have about a half hour to bend over and kiss our arses goodbye if it actually functions, though. That said, I'm curious, has China and Russia got together with North Korea and say, or just China and Russia gotten together and say, you know, if Kim goes way stupid on this, what's wrong with sending some other surprises into the United States?
On behalf?
So many surprises in the United States that their ability to return is nothing, because what's North Korea done? They're in the process of eliminating the Great Satan. Well, wait, shouldn't we help?
I think China, I don't think so for China.
If they know that it's fairly certain that North Korea will be effective.
I don't think so, because I don't think they can know North Korea has been effective. Look, North Korea just tested their first H-bomb. Right. And there's a difference between a straight atomic bomb and an H-bomb.
Just throwing it out there.
And I think that the guidance systems aren't very accurate. We know that. And
we theorize about that.
Would North Korea be able to hit Japan and Guam and South Korea, absolutely. Hawaii or Pearl, potentially. Maybe Bremerton, Washington, and perhaps San Diego.
Bremerton,
right? Take out our
perfect
Pacific
target.
Take out our Pacific.
Yep.
fleet,
Take out our entire subs basically on the West Coast.
Yeah, and San Diego, right? Because that's the base of the Pacific fleet. Also, the carriers and so forth that are there. So, little Kim takes. I don't think China would launch also or Russia. China is tied to us economically. China cannot afford a war with us either, financially. And you look at how China, you look at China from an economic standpoint, and I think we've shifted away from this mutually assured destruction through nuclear power, and we've shifted it more to now. It's economic consequence instead of body count. And look,
when you have regimes that can rationalize with you, yes,
hear me out
then
on this.
they understand.
But I think China is rational, and Putin, although he may be an a-hole, Putin is not a stupid man.
Well, Putin's about self-preservation.
Yeah, and look, there's China and Russia. I don't believe are going to launch against the United States if North Korea does. It's not in their best interest globally. It's not in their best interest economically. And I think that the potential heat that would be brought down from the United States and allies, you forget, we have allies who have nuclear capability in Europe. So just because we may not get all our shit off and we may be hurt significantly does not mean that our other nuclear capable allies are not going to retaliate.
I don't know what our counter-strike plan is, but let's be realistic. There's got to be a counter-strike plan where it's like, hey, if we throw, you throw.
Oh, yeah. So look, we have the ability to know where missiles are launging from.
No. What I'm saying is from our allies.
No, right.
Once we're under attack, you guys go too.
Probably, yeah. And even if not, even if Russia and China think that they're going to be able to lob missiles onto, we know where those launches are come from. Trump's going to hit our big red button, and we're going to send shit their way. We may not intercept their stuff, but they ain't going to intercept all of ours either.
And I hate to say it, but all of this can be avoided is if we do something now.
Yes, I agree. And the fucked up thing about China is they came out and said, we won't support them if they strike first.
Right.
Right. But we'll be against you if you strike first.
Right. But you know what? Let China say whatever they want. China, I think, is turning out that this is that they're a paper tiger.
Let me throw this into the mix too. What if now you mentioned the lack of accuracy in missiles?
Yes.
What if the North Koreans decide, well, you know what? We don't really give a flying fuck about accuracy.
And
let's just have let's have a nice EMP war at a high altitude.
But that's why when you start talking about though the China part of it, right? So China's got to know that their accuracy is shit. China's going to know it's going to affect them. They could talk tough. And we see this all the time out of these countries that aren't our biggest fan. Oh, well, if they do something first, then yeah, something has to be done. But if you guys do something first, we're not going to support that. Because it's easy to point the finger at us and make us the assholes, right? It has nothing to do with reality.
I don't think anybody thinks we're the assholes on this one.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you can save face like that easily. But in reality, somewhere in the background, they're like, are you guys going to fucking do something about this? Because this guy's out of his goddamn mind.
And North Korea is not friendly with Russia. Putin is not happy that North Korea has nuclear capability.
Putin shares 24 miles with North Korea and moved 1,500 civilians out of that line
and troops
about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And troops.
So Putin is no friend of North Korea.
Under the mask of the Belarus exercises.
Right, because he needed them over there.
Right.
So North Korea is no friend to Russia, and that's why I don't buy at all into Russia and China launching. I think that this whole thing could be avoided if China just went in and took action.
Yeah, but you know what? The same thing can be said about us. I mean, listen, at the end of the day...
No. Here's why. Because we're already against them. If China goes in,
right,
they can take him out, and they could set up a government that's friendly to them. If we go in, China's going to have a democratic country on its border and probably a united Korea.
But you know what? And you've brought that up before.
I have.
But the reality of the situation is it goes back to the economic thing, right? If you're China, That benefits you economically because now you have a neighbor right next door. Hey, we're democratic. We trade with them. You said for them it's more economic than anything else.
Right.
So to have an entire country actually be a growing, that's the other big difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're not only starting to buy and produce and all these other things, but now they're rebuilding an entire nation, South Korea is, and South Korea has the money to do it. Where are they going to buy goods from? Your friend China.
No, here's why. Because a democratic country that's not North Korea, not that buffer right there, a democratic country on their border, one that's friendly to the United States, that has a different ideological system than the United States, is an ally to the United States. And right now we know Korea and China, North Korea and China are trade partners.
Right.
A ally to the United States when there's China being accused of currency manipulation, all these other things.
And we're still trade partners with them.
Yes,
we're still.
Right?
Yes, we
are.
are.
But we have the capability to do certain actions against them.
So doesn't South Korea, though. They're part of the UN. They have all that international sanction ability.
North Korea, which is where China gets a lot of their energy from, coal and so forth, right?
Right.
If that's controlled by a communist country, they're going to continue to have that regardless of relations with the West.
But I think if you're China, you start looking and listen. We've seen China over the last 15 years go down this capitalist approach to communism, right?
Yeah, kind of. But they don't want to lose influence. Look what they're doing with the islands in the South China Sea. They don't want to lose influence.
But you're trying to influence a country that's non-influential.
They are to an extent,
and they're also dangerous right now. And here's the other thing:
but they're not dangerous to China.
They are dangerous to China because if they launch to South Korea, that fallout could affect China very much so.
Yes.
So they are dangerous to China. They are. I mean, that's just okay. So let's say Kim Jong.
Not to China as a whole. They could have 100 miles of radioactive fallout potentially.
Right, but you look at if that hits one of their dense city, that's a major population.
Yeah, that's less people they have to feed. They went down this road.
But the reality of the situation is, if you're China and you're like, hey, I have North Korea we buy coal. Well, I'll still be able to buy it from South Korea because they're going to want to offload it. They're going to want to make the money. Everyone's trading with China now. Everybody is. Whether we agree or disagree, that's just a fact. Now you have a more stable government because right now, if Kim Jong-un gets knocked off tomorrow, who's the next screwball in charge? Is he going to be just as crazy as Kim Jong-un? Maybe he's going to be more crazy. Yeah, maybe he will be somebody who's friendly to China and knock all the shit off. But the nukes are always going to be there. And if you're China, you know that as long as those nukes are there, that potential for crazy is always there.
So you
need to eliminate that.
So are you saying that you would rather have that China would rather have the U.S. come in and handle that and take the nukes?
Absolutely.
And then have okay.
Because it shows them their capability. So strategically, it's not a bad idea if you're China, right?
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think China wants us to handle it. I think China wants that buffer country there. I think that's important.
I don't think China wants us anywhere in the Korean Peninsula.
I don't think so
not
either.
In this
I agree.
They don't want any influence in there.
I agree.
Well,
South Korea is bad enough.
And in North Korea, they have a 100-person strong military that's allied with them to offset that South Korean threat. Well, I agree with BZ on this. I don't think that. I
disagree.
Think they want that.
I disagree. I think they're just so money hungry that they'd rather have a trading with somebody.
They're power hungry,
but they're money hungry more.
Economically, China's not doing all that well right now.
They need the money. And if you have a country like South Korea who has a boatload of money, and you have countries like with
just one boatload,
yeah,
it's a really big boat.
It's huge. Have you seen the goddamn thing? It's enormous. Enormous!
Is it bigger than the Sach aircraft carrier?
No, God, no.
Okay,
it's bigger than the Oasis of the Seas.
That's a big ship.
By the way, speaking of the Sackheads aircraft carrier, I was having a conversation with my buddy Nate Wild, who's supposed to be listening tonight. Nate is a reformed liberal. He's starting to come the right way, and we're going to usher him over.
I see what you did. The right way.
Is his brother's name Zach?
No. But I told him the idea of this Sackheads aircraft carrier. Loved it. Thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It is
absolutely brilliant. So it's nice that when we bring that out.
Didn't we say Sackhead should have an MRAP? Didn't we decide on that?
We should have an MRAP.
We should.
With huge speakers on it.
Yes.
Of course.
I want an MRAP. I really do.
You
can get them used.
Right, just for fun.
All you have to do is go to Syria.
Can't register it.
Well, who's going to stop you?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's like the best video ever was the dude in L.A. that got in the tank.
The tank.
Wasn't that some great fun to watch?
Unbelievable.
Of course he's dead, but...
Well, it wasn't for him at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't real good.
It wasn't for him at the end.
For him.
But yeah,
Not a happy
I forget
ending.
where he stole that from.
He stole it out of...
From the National Guard.
From the Armory, right?
Yeah, he was a member.
Did he have ammo on board?
No.
They didn't know that,
don't
though,
know.
right?
Right, but they were...
didn't know
When the
that.
chase happened, they weren't sure.
Yeah.
He
So I
did
only
not,
got-
as they found
that-
out.
I just remember that
He didn't
deputy
need
popped
it.
the hatch and just...
Capped him.
Oh, that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the interesting thing was he knew how to turn the handle, the turret around towards the people that were pursuing
He
him.
knew how to operate it. He knew how to operate
yeah.
it for the most part. He was operating it single-handedly, which is obviously not how a tank is supposed to be operated.
God, that
But there was
would've
also the guy in Colorado, remember, with the
fun to-
D5?
Could you imagine being that poor bastard patrol cop just chasing and all of a sudden that turret?
I see, and I don't
Could
even...
you imagine?
I don't even think of that yet. I think of the guy who's like sitting having his coffee and not paying attention to anything that's
At
going
Winchell's?
on. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, a tank goes by, and he's like, ah, shit.
What about
do I call this out? How long have I been working?
What about the guy?
What's in my cup?
What about the guy in the house that's doing the same thing early in the morning, and he looks out and he sees an M47 Patton tank run right over his Winnebago. if you
Yes, the
remember that?
Winnebago.
And then he says, "Barbara, I think we got a problem."
Yeah.
I just think of like all those slapstick TV shows, Naked Gun and everything. We see
The
something like
movie
that.
Tank.
Yeah, and the guy's like, yeah, I think it's time I quit drinking. You know? But you go to, what was it, Colorado, where the guy armored up his D5 bulldozer and took out an entire town. Same thing. They couldn't get a shot in on him. The thing was indestructible. It took them hours.
Yeah.
It was amazing footage to watch. That was amazing footage to watch.
Well, if
you didn't get hung up.
I heard on that one. Yeah, if you didn't get hung up, I heard on that deputy had to pop the hatch and.
Oh, what were you going to do? What were you going to do?
I heard that the military was actually scrambling either aircraft or other armor to stop that.
Boy, wouldn't that been great to watch too?
Yeah,
Holy moly!
I heard that. I never received confirmation on that. I can't even tell you where I heard that from because I don't remember. But I heard that it might have been just rumor or innuendo that the military was contacted.
Well, you know they had to have
scrambling. Could you imagine?
They had to have some sort of plan in place at that point.
Like an A6 just freaking comes.
Bird. but you're also
the only thing that would have been better is if like the A10 was painted with like highway patrol black and white or something like that. That's the only thing that would have made.
And then that
made
scene
better.
becomes a hazmat for the next 10 years.
Oh God,
gosh,
yeah, depleted uranium.
That's
Yes.
fine. That's fine.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. I just picture like the all units. I just picture the all units broadcast. You know what I mean? You just
stay out of the area. We have warthogs en route.
Attention all units. A tank has just been stolen from the National Guard base. So if anyone sees it, you might want to go ahead and try to stop it. And there was one guy. Go. Do you have a plate on that?
Yes! I was just going to say that.
Watch this, guys. Is that a Cal tag, or how's that going to work for you?
Is that a personalized? Confirm OD green with a white star.
Wait. This would be a good site. I'm sure he's 4000A, right?
Yeah. I'm behind a potential right now. I just want to confirm last four. Oh no, he's running over cars and shit. But I don't know if this is the.
I think.
Do we have paperwork? Do we have paperwork in hand?
I think you might be deuce.
Do we have paperwork in hand before we do anything? Did the Army sign it? They signed the 180. No, they can't get anyone who's the registered owner. All right, we'll just follow and advise.
How would you like to have been that smart ass chasing that? Can we get an airstrike?
Yeah. Hey, Saj, you still have the anti-tank round in the trunk of the car, or how does that work?
Yeah, when I get it stopped, can you send me a rotation tow?
flotation tow. Hey, you want to send me a hook? Might need a flatbed on this one. Might need one. You know what? I hope they called the tow truck driver out just for fun.
Oh, yeah.
Just be like, no, call him anyways. This is going to be great. And he shows up thinking it's like a beat-up Malibu or something. And it's a patent tank. Like, make sure you sweep up all the debris, too.
Was it an Abrams or was it a...
It was
M47.
Yeah, it was M47 patent,
Yep.
which is a damn good tank.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I mean,
apparently.
shit, it can destroy half of downtown L.A. Holy shit. Oh, man.
That was just good, clean fun.
It was. I just picture just the shock of seeing a tank go rolling down.
Oh, wait a minute. Do you guys remember the big-ass bus pursuit?
No, that was the movie Speed.
Down in Southern California?
I do not remember that
was
one.
Speed.
That was Speed, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it went through all sorts of intersections. It was at night.
Keanu Reeves.
There were like
Sandra Bullock was driving.
20 or 30 CHP units after it. It went through a fence. And as it's going around corners, it's got about 20 or 30 feet of fence behind it, trapped on that. And as it goes around corners, it wipes, all the fence comes around and wipes everything out as it goes around corners.
People have stolen some pretty amazing things. I can remember a couple tractor-trailer chases I've seen where you just like...
Yeah, the beginning of Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Truck full of cigarettes.
Yes. Fully should have known that was you.
So that brings me to my next question. What influences what? Does the movie influence the person or the person influence the movie?
Look, I think the movie can influence the person because you look at the West Hollywood shootout, right?
Heat. Heat is still, that scene
is amazing.
Heat is still one of the finest shootouts ever.
And then it happened in real life.
Yeah.
Ever. And then
it happened in real life.
And then Matassa, Renu, and Phillips did the exact same damn thing.
Yep. Tank, as we talked about.
Tank
happened before that movie.
Although that wasn't really stolen.
Okay, but...
It was his, and he busted his kid out of some crooked sheriff's jail. But it was still pretty damn funny.
Right. And then, Speed and the bus chase. I mean, yeah. You start looking at it. Look at
the interview and Little Kim losing his shit.
Absolutely.
Right?
The interview.
Nakatomi Plaza and what movie did that influence?
What happened right after the movie?
9/11, right?
Do you guys remember what happened right after the release of the interview?
Somebody got killed.
No, Sony got hacked.
Oh, they got hacked
by the North Koreans.
Now, viciously. The movie Tora Tora Tora, when did that come out? Before or after?
Really?
Let me, can I get back to you on that?
Bridge over River Kwai. I'm just saying.
Run silent, run deep. Look.
Yeah. Dirty Dozen.
Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes. Oh. We could sit here and do great World War II movies all night.
Oh, we only got 2 minutes, so we might as well go for it.
Okay.
12 O'Clock High.
Ooh, 12 O'Clock High was a great
Gunsling
illustration of
the enemy
leadership.
below.
Das Boot.
Yes, it is.
Hacksaw Ridge.
That's lame. Give me a fucking break. I don't want to take a gun. I'm going to help people. Fuck you. It's a fucking war, you pussy. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I don't count.
Knock it off, Spider-Man. Knock it off, Spider-Man.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, great movie. Unbelievably great
The
movie.
Captain America.
Wow. Yeah, World War II in that.
The first half hour of Saving Private Ryan is probably some of the most intense movie making ever.
Yeah.
Dunkirk.
Ever.
Dunkirk.
If you have not seen Dunkirk.
Once you told me about, didn't you tell me about the aircraft in,
yes, I did.
Dunkirk?
Yeah. Did you see it?
Once you told me about that, I went to YouTube and looked at some of the ways that they did it and how they kept accuracy. I went back and saw it again and liked it better the second time.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, yeah. Oh, and Top Secret.
Midway.
Yeah. And Top Secret with Val Kilmer. It took place with the Nazis, World War II.
True. That's true. Valkyrie.
Valkyrie was a great movie. Absolutely great movie.
Spies Like Us.
Spies Like Us, Cold War. And World War II led directly to the Cold War.
Yes, it
so,
did.
yeah, it was definitely...
Patton. Mike says Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
But not the new one.
No, the new one
The
sucked.
original.
sucked.
Only the original.
Yeah,
new
the
one
original
sucks.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Folks.
Just going to war movies, right? We got to go to We Were Soldiers.
Yeah, We Were Soldiers was amazing. Platoon.
Yeah. Apocalypse
Full Metal
Now.
Jacket.
Full
Apocalypse
Metal
Now.
Jacket.
Hamburger Hill.
Mm-hmm.
There was some pretty
Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge was a great movie. Great movie.
Hamburger Hill nobody knows about, and that was the actual, don't know if you know this or not, that was the first actual movie appearance of R. Lee Ermey. People think that it was Full Metal Jacket. No, it wasn't. His first appearance was in Hamburger Hill.
By the way, quick, I know we're out of time. Name me the movie where the A6 Intruder was the primary. It was about intruder drivers.
Flight of
the Intruder.
Yes,
great movie.
Which was also a book.
Willem Dafoe.
About the character Jake Grafton.
Yes, great book.
Absolutely astounding movie.
They need to make a movie, Flight of the Old Dog. Have you read that book?
No.
So Flight of the Old Dog by Dale Brown. Have you read it?
Dale Brown? I met him.
So
yeah, but have you read the book?
It's about a B-52 that they completely refit and making a badass freaking warbird.
C-130 Spectre. Just saying. We're up against a break.
No
update to the show. Son of a bitch. Folks, we'll be back next week right here.
I won't be.
8 p.m. Pacific.
But then I'll be back for good.
You won't be here next week?
I will not be here next week.
Oh, damn.
The doctor got the big saw in, yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's burned out the first two saws. And
I'm having a nose job.
I don't know if you've ever seen the one they put on the giant huge machine that they cut into the side of mountains.
Is it a circular saw?
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like it's actually the drill machine.
Yeah.
They had to kind of put it down to get me on the table.
But it's just a rotating blade to begin with.
I actually look pretty good, do I not?
No, I mean they got the first 5 feet off. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
So I've got one more to go back for, and then
we can finally put that camera on your side of the room someday.
And then I'll be good.
That camera will be on your side of the room.
Yeah, hey, I mean you can't even have the zoom lens.
Make sure you check tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 the East Coast.
Assholes.
The Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
Represent.
The Bloviating Zeppelin. Of course, it all starts off with Money Talk with Melanie tomorrow right here in the afternoon. And Pastor Mike and Shannon the right way in the morning. Check out all the great shows, www.shrmedia.com. We'll see you next week, folks. Have a great rest of your day.
I'm sorry, but the UN must be firm with you. Let me see your whole palace or else.
Or else what?
Or else we will be very, very angry with you. And we will write you a letter telling you how angry we are.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.